Hello, everyone, and welcome to NerdAlert. I went too high. We have a great show planned for you this week, and we are going to let it unfold. But first, I'm going to introduce the special guest, and that is my good friend, Meredith Placko. Meredith.
Surprise! It's like a new person because I'm blonde, so it's entirely different. I'm a new person. I'm just, totally new.
But Meredith is frequently seen on our sister channel, What the Flick, also this channel, hosting for C2E2, Emerald City, Around the Nation, doing a lot of things, doing a lot of good things. And I'm happy to have you back here, especially to talk about some specific topics that I know that you're passionate about, that I'm passionate about. I also want to say before we start that we did live stream the top of preparing the show on our Facebook page live. If you want to check out what goes on behind the scenes live, go ahead and hit the like on facebook.com/NerdAlertTYT. So let's get into our first story, finally. And it is something that has been very controversial on the internet and in the news cycle recently, and that is the casting of Scarlett Johansson as the Major, I guess that's now what we're calling her, in Ghost in the Shell, which is being produced by Hollywood. I know getting into this that there will be a comment shitstorm. I have worked here before. I'm aware that no one likes the very idea that someone with a different life experience may find some fault with something that you don't care about or don't find fault with, or that it has ultimately something different from your own worldview. I get that. And I get that some people are weirdly offended over people being offended by things they're not offended by.
Well, welcome to outside of your computer where the real world exists with the myriad of different opinions. So
it reminds me of a weird parallel Christian persecution fantasy, which we saw recently in the movie God's Not Dead 2, which is the idea that people seeking equality and recognition who are not from the dominant group somehow persecutes the dominant group, which I disagree with. And fundamentally, this argument might not be for you if you feel opposed to that. So with that in mind, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson, she is a well-known Hollywood actress. I think she is fantastic. But is she fantastic for this role? There have been arguments back and forth about this, which is you should stay true to the ultimate point of view that the story is, which is it is written as a Japanese story, and it is not written as an American story. But then others say, well, she's a ghost. So it doesn't ultimately matter
she's a cyborg,
what it is. But it's not, I disagree with that. And I think from our unique point of view as Americans, which is a multicultural nation, and then we look into the original Ghost in the Shell, which was also multicultural, and it is spoken from a Japanese point of view, though, which is deeply ingrained in their technological infrastructure, their culture, but also not being able to protect themselves. How do you feel?
I think this was Hollywood doing Hollywood's safe way of casting. I've heard all the different arguments. Oh, there's no prominent Asian or Asian American actresses that they could have cast.
That's not true.
And I know that's not. I'm listing.
I agree with you.
No, or like, China just really likes white actresses, and they don't dislike Japan, so they don't want to cast that. And movies do bonkers in China. I've heard, she's a robot, so it doesn't matter, and she looks white. Here's the bottom line: the original Ghost in the Shell. We're going back to the '90s with Masamune Shiro's creation. That's the guy who created Ghost in the Shell to begin with. When he developed the body that Major Motoko Kusanagi would inhibit, she was a mass-produced model. She was going to be the most normal baseline model that you could find because he didn't want her to be taken for parts and found and harvested and whatever. And at that time, as is pretty ubiquitous in a lot of cyberpunk stories, you have this idea that it's a pan-Asian world. That most of, in the cyberpunk stories, you have a dominant Asian populace with some European mix within it. So at best, cast an Asian European descent actress.
We look at this, and as you were saying, this pan-Asian culture, it is kind of, I don't want to say melting pot, but it is a blend of different races together. And if that's the point that we're going to tackle, why does the actress need to be white? I mean, specifically in Hollywood, we come from a point of view where, let's be real, going back, we view the default as Caucasian. If that is true, then I don't understand why this needs to be the case for a movie like this. That also asks the question, what happens when we transcend our own bodies? Does it need to be that way? Or does it just go reverse and exactly undo its own point?
Yeah, that's a difficult topic because, I mean, I'm just at a loss. I think, looking at the source material, looking at what is at the heart of Ghost in the Shell, and I'm talking, the original manga, not some of the newer series where they tackle these topics. It's not just about a robot, paramilitary police force group trying to stop, assassins and serial killers. It is a deeper meaning. It is about, transcending to that next step of, life. She's shown to be a younger girl, but obviously a very mature soul. And, what does that mean? In theory, she could have different looks throughout time. Every time
she could be in a different shell. I mean, if we look at that point, it doesn't truly make sense from a narrative point of view. But I think ultimately when we get to the bottom of it, you cast Scarlett Johansson because Scarlett Johansson will make you money. And I think that's the kind of studio, appropriative, non-risk-taking thoughts that have kept a lot of actors of color out of the limelight as much as we've seen it. And I think this has been demonstrated pretty cheekily by one Freddie Wong. Let's take a look at a clip from Rocket Jump.
It's like 99%.
Yeah, it's not quite there. It's not quite there.
Guys, why don't we just hire an actual Asian woman?
Because, as a studio executive, the immorality of whitewashing a beloved work of Japanese culture is outweighed by my fear that audiences won't want to watch a movie starring an Asian woman, and I don't have the balls to take that risk. Besides, whatever political outrage this decision evokes doesn't materially affect how much money I make.
Ready?
Yes, that's it, perfect, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
This means?
No. Come on, time!
And that's the happy dance you do when you reach the bottom line. Thanks to Freddie Wong for making that point, which is pretty salient. At the end of the day, it's not taking risks. It's doing the same old shit over and over. It's doing a Dragon Ball movie with a white Goku or an Avatar movie with completely different cast
just
and
an
the way
all-white
it's written.
cast. But but look at films that did take risks and did well. Pacific Rim, the lead.
Rico Kunchki.
Yep, who would have also been a wonderful Major. Would have been great.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic. I think a lot of people have strong feelings about this. I'm sure it's going to be, I'm going to hear a lot of them.
I'm looking forward to the comments on this one.
Okay, well, all right, audience, there you go. There is your lead. I would ask that you be mindful, but I know it's not going to happen all the way through. Let us know below what you really think about this particular concept. I think it's extremely varied and blended due to the unique circumstances of not only American culture, but Japanese culture and what dominates the current industry trends. So let us know what you think about that below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.